Well, Ryan, forget about the couch. I'm on full suicide watch. Welcome to the rant version of the Aiming Five-Hole podcast.
We are.
You're not going to make me talk about the Leafs tonight,
if you're the
are
Leafs,
you? Can we just skip over and talk about some of the other fun stuff we got to talk about
There's
tonight?
a lot of stuff we want to talk about today. A lot happened in the week this week.
Let's just skip right over the Leafs.
All right, just for everybody's benefit, we are recording this less than 15 minutes after the Leafs blew a 4-2 lead, and we're outshot 20-2 in the third period against the Carolina Hurricanes.
45-20. And forget about this. Before I rant on the team, Carolina cared so little about the Leafs, or so little respect for the Leafs tonight. They dressed their third string, barely a beer league goalie. I can't even remember his name, Bussy or whatever his name is.
Bussy.
Did not dress their number one goaltender, Frederik Andersen, who didn't play last night. It was Kochenkov, who was actually the backup tonight to their third string beer league goaltender. That's how little Carolina thought about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
This was definitely a rough weekend. You had a loss against the Boston Bruins last night. Very
giveaways.
Similar.
Like just let's go right in. Like it's just giveaways. How I lost count on the number of giveaways the Leafs had over the last two games. You know, they last week they struggled through wins through Philadelphia, the team they should have beat. They somehow squeaked out a win against Pittsburgh after getting badly outplayed for two periods. Then they play a decent game against Utah, and then they come into the weekend and throw two complete stinkers, and just their just ability to control the puck, not give it away in their own end, to find pressure in the offensive zone.
Where's the urgency?
The urgency in the team is just not there. If it was not for Nylander, Nyes, and Tavares, I don't know where this team would be right now. Like, it's just zero coming from anywhere on the ice from anybody else. And the amount of giveaways is just mind-boggling. And I got to imagine what's going on in that change room right now and how paint is being teared off the wall by Berube. You could see him on the bench tonight throwing obscenities after every shift. It was the camera kept going to him because they knew how much he was seething.
Well, what was crazy to me was the last 6 minutes of the game. They spent maybe a total of 30, 40 seconds in Carolina's end. There was no urgency. There was no forecheck.
And let's put it in perspective. Other than the third string goaltender they had in net, there was no Slavin and no Goss to spare. They were without two of their three top defensemen.
Yeah.
And we know how good Slavin is from the Four Nations and just how good he is. This team just, I'm a loss for words of how bad they're playing and how terrible of a five-man unit they are right now. Again tonight, how many goals were scored by either giveaways or trailing guys coming from behind, and a forward or a defenseman not covering the right guys and guys getting open looks. As bad as Stolhart's probably played last night in the game against Boston, you can't blame the goaltending right now because they're getting the opposition is getting so many open looks and so many free passes in the offensive zone. It's just ridiculous. It's unbearable to watch. Like, can we just flip forward to next season? Can we just get past this season? I don't even think I want to watch anymore.
You're not going to. Okay. Well, not going to watch. At least I don't have to worry about you. Like, we don't have to hide the knives. If you're worried, if you're just going to give up on the season, then we don't have to hide the knives.
Forget about. Let's remember, I pitched them to go to Stanley Cup Final.
Oh, right. I forgot about that bit.
And I'm worried about them actually making the playoffs right now. Forget it. Like, it's so early in the season, it's hard to panic, but the display of hockey going on right now is that worrisome.
Thanksgiving is coming.
Thanksgiving, forget about Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is good. The Thanksgiving rule might mean something if the Leafs are 4 or 5 points out of a playoff spot. Look,
wow,
it's bad at the moment. They'll turn it around. They always do. They're always
now you're playing my psychologist, but I can see the smile on your face.
I'm kind of grinning ear to ear. I'm kind of grinning ear to ear. I'm not gonna lie.
It's bad. It's
pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Your face is a little red.
Red. Oh, just seething. And the amount of text messages I'm getting from friends that I play hockey with and the other Leaf fans, it's just, are you watching this? You think I'm watching this? Of course I'm watching
Of
this.
course
I'm
you're watching it.
seething. I'm seething. This is just
Hang in there. Deep breath.
deep
Deep breath.
breaths.
Hang
Okay.
in there.
I think
You, have
I
you,
think we've got enough to talk about today that
yeah,
we
I
know
don't
how
want to
bad
spend a
it
ton
is
of.
for the Leafs. I
Yeah.
don't need to go in any more in depth about how bad they're playing, and they need to figure it out. They need and something drastic has to happen. I know it's a month into the season, but a trade, a move,
Yeah.
somebody's got to sit. They've got to change the chemistry of what's going on right now because I don't know. Are they trying to pull an Edmonton Oilers from the last two seasons? Let's see how crappy we can be before Christmas,
They're not good
so
enough to
that
do
we can
that.
so we can
They're
turn
not
it
good
around
enough.
for
I'm
the
not sure the
back half of
Oilers
the
are good enough to
season.
do that, and we will talk about that
Yeah.
later on in this
Yes.
episode.
Okay. So that's
Um,
it by the Leafs. The
that's it
Leafs
by the Leafs. I
stunk.
actually don't want to spend a ton of time on Montreal because it's a little
Sorry,
bit more.
before we go to
Yeah,
Montreal
sure.
though, the Leafs have had a cupcake first part of the season because they have played 12 games at home. Seven of their next 11 are on the road. So they've got to go on the road playing their worst hockey that I've seen in some time out of this team and try
Right.
and turn it around.
Yeah, but who are they playing on the road?
I'm not going into the schedule because it doesn't matter who
Okay,
they play at this
I'm not
point.
going to put you on the
They
spot.
can't beat anybody at the moment. So
Right, right,
okay,
right.
so that's
Okay.
it. Let's move on.
All right. Too much.
Habs.
I
Look
don't
at
want
the
to spend a
Habs.
ton.
How good the Habs are
I
looking.
don't want. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's a little bit more of the same. Like they're not playing perfect games, but they're finding ways to win.
But that's what
And,
it's about.
yep. But I
They're
do want to
finding
talk
ways
about.
to win.
I do want to talk about a few sort of key things that I've noticed. Number one is if Suzuki and Caufield aren't on their respective Olympic teams, I don't
Somebody's got to
know.
give their head a shake.
Yeah, and that someone will be me because like Suzuki's been. I think he's. I saw the in the Utah game last night. They showed the statistics. He's second in the league in scoring since the end of the Four Nations last year.
But forget about his offensive game. He's playing a 200-foot game. He's
Oh
looking
yeah,
good at both ends of the ice. He's a small guy, but yet he is
he's
playing
not that
both ends of
small.
the
He's
ice.
6'1" or 6 feet six
Is he
one. I
really?
think.
He just looks
Yeah,
small out there.
yeah. Well, he kind of plays a little hunched over, but he's got a great stick. He takes pucks away from people. He's really playing well. And then what do you say about Cole Caulfield? I mean, granted, I don't think he's going to shoot 30% for the rest of the season. Like that's a little nuts,
I probably have one stat on
unsustainable.
him that you probably don't have.
Oh, let me have it.
He is the first Montreal Canadian
Mm-hmm.
since Guy Lafleur in '77 to have five multi-goal games in the first 15 games of the season.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's impressive.
Since 1977. That's how hard it is to do.
Wow. Okay.
It's
All right.
pretty good.
But those guys are the obvious ones. I
Am
want
I
to call
actually
it.
rooting on the Habs right now?
Well, you may not have a choice.
Might not.
But you might not have a choice. Yeah. But at least until the tank is on, and then you're like, um, but the guy I want to focus on is Alex Newhook. I mean, the guy's 8 points in his last 8 games. He's finding it. He's scoring, and the goal he scored against Utah was a thing of beauty. And he's utilizing the speed that he has. I mean, he's clearly the fastest guy on the team, and he's starting to use that speed in better and better ways. Right? He's doing it on the penalty kill. And he's doing it to put back pressure on in the neutral zone. He's picking off a lot of pucks. I think this line with Oliver Kapanen and Demidov is playing really well.
Yeah, that Demidov kid. I know you're on Newhook right now, but that Demidov kid is something special. We said this last week. He's playing like a mature player. Some of the passing that first line penalty. I was watching the game with you, sort of at the same
Yep.
time as you the other night, and I was in awe a little bit of their power play. They're moving the puck around. I actually think they're overpassing the puck. They're trying to get too cute. They've had some really cool looking goals, some really fun passing plays. I think they're actually now it's going to their head a little bit.
Well, they've I don't think they've had 25 shots on goal in their last 3 or 4 games. I mean,
Yeah.
they're definitely spending a lot of time in the offensive zone, but what are they doing with it?
Yeah.
And
Look, they're
that's
fun
one of
to
the
watch.
things that they're very fun to watch. I would love to see them get a little bit more rubber on the net and
Mm.
create a little bit, especially on their third and fourth lines, create a little bit more havoc, a little more chaos. You get
Yeah.
more of the ugly goals. I want to see more ugly goals out of them. Still want to see the beauties, but
Yeah.
I want to see some more ugly goals as
Yeah.
well.
No question. No question.
They're a fun team to watch. It was nice to see Monty get a couple of starts, and he had a little rough start on a couple of them, but he was the reason why they got salvaged a point in a lot of ways against Philly, which was a
Yeah.
terrible game that they played, and he gave up a soft goal in the first shot against Utah, and then shut the door kind of after that. And so I was really sort of very impressed with his mental toughness, especially because he had to put up with some Bronx cheers against Philadelphia a little bit. So,
Hey, leading the East, you can't be unhappy with where they are right now.
yep, absolutely. Very, very, very pleased with the trajectory of the team. Hope they continue to improve. I want to see some more multi-goal victories, so I don't have as much
I'm
high
surprised you're
blood
not
pressure at the
wearing
end
a
of the games.
Canadiens jersey or hat tonight. You're not
Well, we
even
don't
in
do
red.
video. We don't do video. And by the way, I realized that my Canadiens jersey is buried at the bottom of a drawer that I can't find right now. So I will dig it up.
You'll dig it out when you finish the move.
Yeah, exactly.
Where
So
are we
let's
going
move
next?
on.
Let's
Let's
move
go on
on.
to Ovi's 900th.
900 goals, best goal scorer of all time. 900. If he plays long enough, maybe he gets to 1,000. He's got to play 3, 4 more seasons. I don't. Do you think he does?
I think this is it. I think
think
this
this
is
is
his
it?
last season. I have to think it's his last season. First of all, he's not scoring at that great a pace. His utilization on the ice now is pretty much limited to offensive zone starts and power plays. Like I would never say that he is a liability, but he's not that. He's not a 200-foot asset. He's not an all situations asset to the Washington Capitals anymore. So my guess is it's his last season, but 900 is nice. If I'm being honest,
kind of an
though,
oddly scored goal, backhand sort of
cool.
swiped at
So
it,
that's a
kind
goal.
of,
But he knew the net was there, and it was probably empty with his back to the play. It was pretty cool.
But let's
I will
talk
say
about.
though,
Yeah, sorry.
but before we get on to the controversy surrounding that goal, I just want to say, like, yes, 900 is a round number, and it's pretty cool that nobody's gotten to 900 goals before. But because Gretzky's record was in the 890s, it just feels like, it was a few more goals. It doesn't feel like that big a deal. It's not like.
No, I get it. It was pretty, but two guys in history being up around that sort of level is pretty cool to be up there and to be over Gretzky, who is obviously the best player, arguably the ever played, to outscore him, and especially in this era where goal scoring, much of Ovi's career was at a premium.
Yeah,
A lot tougher to
but
score.
you have to remember that I think Gretzky had more assists than Ovi had points.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question what Gretzky did is impressive. But what Ovi's done on the goal scoring side is pretty impressive as well.
Extreme, especially because he came up in kind of the end of the neutral zone trap era,
absolutely.
and there were not a lot of people scoring a ton.
But
of
has
goals
there
back
been
then.
anybody that's enjoyed scoring more than Ovi?
Nah, that's what he's about.
Every time he
That's
scores,
all he's about.
it's like he scored his first goal ever. That's what's so fun is just
I know. I'm
watching
surprised he
him
hasn't
score.
kept the puck from every goal he's ever scored. But let's move on to the controversy, because as most hockey fans know, after he scored the goal, Jordan Binnington tucked the puck into his equipment for reasons unknown.
I thought
it was funny too, but like, did he expect to get away with it? I have so many
I
questions.
don't think so.
Did he expect to get away with it? Did he expect to sell the puck on eBay? What was he doing?
No, I think look at Jordan Biddington. As anybody who knows hockey and knows him, look at goalies are quirky to begin with. Jordan Biddington is on that far end of the spectrum of quirky. He's got an edge to him. He's got a little bit of differentness to him. And by goalie standards, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm going to put the puck in my pants. Look, there's 20,000 fans in the stadium, cameras everywhere. There was no way he was going to get away with it. But the fact that he stuck it in the back of his pants and skated away was pretty funny.
I will say, though, he probably should have said immediately after the game, that he was he was doing it to give the puck to Ovechkin, and he wanted to give it to him personally, and tell him that he was proud to be the guy that he was. The 900th goal went in on. But he didn't say anything after the game. He waited till like a day or two later. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, you
Like,
know what? You're going to be the footnote on who was in net for the goal that was scored by 900.
you
At
might as well.
least now people are going to go, it was Jordan Binnington. And did you see what he did with the puck?
I suppose
Then he
so.
turns it around of, I got the goal scored on me to, he did something funny or stupid or whatever you want to say about it. I think Jordan Binnington's got bigger concerns to worry about in turning around his game because he's been playing pretty poorly this season. So, and
Yeah.
St. Louis Blues have been playing pretty poorly. So,
Yes. My trade candidate, Jordan Kyrou, was a healthy scratch in the last game. That's not good
that's
for
not good.
him.
That's not good. No, no.
That's
But
not
you know
good for
what?
him.
But I think you're right. That just puts him on the trade block that much sooner. And with them sort of wallowing in
Yeah, but
second
you never
last
want to
place
sell
in the
low.
West,
You
you don't
never
want to
want to
sell
sell
low, but
low.
you want to, the same thing. They got to turn that season around. They've done it once from last to Stanley Cup championship. I don't think this team's got that pedigree in them to
No.
do it again.
They don't
So
have the blue line for it.
no.
And then look, I don't want to like sort of dance with glee over anything, but Zach Bolduc is playing pretty well for the Montreal Canadiens. He's not scoring a ton, but he's playing a very solid 200-foot game, and he's certainly a credit to the team on the ice. Logan Mayu, who he was traded for, was just sent back down to the AHL. He was 0 points in his 8 games, and I think he was like a -8 or
Yeah.
something like that. So that trade's working out pretty well for Montreal, not necessarily as well for St. Louis, although look, they've got a lot more runway with him. He's barely a
Yeah.
rookie. I didn't think he was going to be ready to play in the NHL this year anyway. So
I don't think he was. Evidence so low. Talk about not ready to play in the NHL. Let's talk about Edmonton Oilers.
yeah,
What
yeah.
should have been a matchup against a Western rival in a real matchup, size up game, they get absolutely shellacked.
By the Avalanche,
9-1 by
by
the
the Avalanche,
Avalanche.
and it wasn't
And it
pretty.
wasn't ugly. It wasn't pretty. I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched in and coming in and out of it and watched the highlights. It looked like Edmonton was killing a penalty the whole game, even when they were 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Avalanche were doing anything and everything with the puck that they wanted to.
So
I'm
the question
shocked it was only
is,
9-1.
I think a fair question would be: have they quit on Skinner? Are they not able to get up because they've got a goalie who's given up softies? I mean, and look, I didn't see the highlights from this game. I have to assume that if they gave up 9 goals, they weren't all richly deserved. I'm sure Skinner gave up a softie or two.
Okay, I'm not going to be, I'm going to the
But
first ones to say that goaltending tandem's got to be moved on from. But,
right, but is it
as bad as
impacting?
some of the
Is it
goals,
impacting the play of the rest of the
oh, I
team?
think so. I think everybody's squeezing the puck, but you also, the defensive grouping, is just not good enough. Their play as a five-man unit, I think, we just talked about this with the Leafs, just as a five-man unit in their own end, they're terrible. They can't get the puck out of the
Yeah,
zone, and they're turning the puck over, and it's ending up in the back of their net because their goaltender can't stop his breath.
yeah.
So
But it's
and
crazy
neither
because
one
they've
of
got a
them
good D.
can. What's that?
They've got a good D between Wallman, Nurse, and Ekholm. Like your top three is pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know, Brick Kulak is, I don't know, is he a
Again,
serviceable number 4 or 5? But
I would say it's not just a defensive problem. I think it's the style of defensive play and how you're actually operating in your own end. And then different from the Leafs, I think the Leafs goaltending is pretty good. Their
yeah,
goaltending is absolutely terrible. To your
yeah,
point, it turns over. Every puck ends up in the net. There's nights where we say, okay, the Leafs turn the puck over a lot, but Stolhart's or Wool in the past have been there to help and bail them out. And
yeah,
tonight, even Hildeby was not that bad. He helped. It was lucky that they had the game that close. But in Edmonton, it's just everything's going in the net, and it's just bad. They've got to do something because to your point, the confidence in those two goaltenders. I don't care what McDavid is saying and the other players are saying, going, it's not the goaltending, it's not the goaltending. There's a large part of this is the goaltending.
yeah. By the way, all of this to say that it makes me doubly pissed off that the Canadiens lost their game to Edmonton. And I know it was the referee's fault, but it still pisses me off that they lost that game because of how badly Edmonton is playing.
Yeah, it was
But
terrible. But there was a rumor.
They've also moved their rookies all into the fourth line.
Yeah.
Does that seem smart to you to have
well, it
three
keeps them off the ice? They're just not playing them very much, right? You're playing.
Yeah, but when they're playing, they're small and quick and offensive minded, and they're getting caved in by these big fourth lines that they're going up against.
There was a rumor this week that Nashville is considering trading Soros, and Edmonton is being named. But what has Edmonton got left to give up, other than maybe a couple of these rookies? And can you give up on those rookies at this point?
Well, you might have to.
You might have to. They don't.
If you're playing for the
they don't have many draft picks to.
You also got 2 years to convince Connor McDavid to stick around.
Yeah.
So you better do what you have to do.
Well, and now we can move on from Edmonton. And while we're sticking on sort of sad sack stories, how about those New York Rangers at home?
I look, there are a couple of people who listen to this podcast who are good friends of mine, and they're New York Rangers fans. And I feel terrible for you. And I feel terrible for you because I know you go to a lot of games. And if you're listening, you know I'm talking to you right now. I know you go to a lot of games at Madison Square Garden. And you're asking yourself, why do these guys look like world beaters in every arena except Madison Square Garden?
Forget about world beaters on the yes, they're one of the best teams on the way, 7-1-1. At home, 0-6-1, 5 of 7 games they've been shut out. They can't win in their own building. They can't forget about winning in their own building. They can't score in their own building.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. And like you, I've got a couple of friends I play hockey with down here that are New York Ranger fans, and I say something to them. Of course, right now, being a Leafs fan, they throw it right back in my face. But this is embarrassing right now.
Well, if you're a Rangers fan and you go to a lot of, let's say you're a season ticket holder, right? And you're in a position right now where forget Saturday. It's like a Tuesday night. You got tickets to the game. You're not sure you want to go because there's a 2/3 chance not only that your team won't win, but they're not going to score a goal.
It's just terrible.
It's awful.
I
feel terrible. So for all my Rangers friends, I'm so sorry right now.
Sorry,
but make sure you watch.
I'm not with you on that feeling sorry bandwagon.
Make sure you watch all the road games on TV. That's all I can say.
There's very few teams that I dislike as much as I dislike the New York Rangers. I don't know why. I just always have. I think this looks really good on them. And look, I said it from last season when they were going through this thing and the whole schmozzle with what's his name, the GM. Drury.
Well, we called for his head.
They should have called his head
on a weekly basis.
They should be calling his head now. Like he's got to go. That team just doesn't want to play for him. I'm sorry.
We talked about it. We talked about it so much last year that we could have called the podcast "Aiming 5-Hole" subtitle "Fire Drury."
Exactly.
I mean, neither of us are Ranger
terrible.
fans.
Just terrible. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so I know you want to talk about the West a little bit because
I want to talk
really
about because I'm in LA. I started to feel a little bit bad that we don't give the West the love they deserve from time to time, and so I want to talk about a couple of things out West. Number one, how about them Anaheim Ducks? And I know we've alluded to it a little bit before. 6 in a row,
impressive.
Leo Carlsson is tied for fourth in the league, or he's fourth in the league in scoring, with 23 points. Like everybody ragged on, well, not everybody, but because it was a closer thing than that. But a lot of people questioned in the 2023 draft after Bedard went, Anaheim had the second pick, and it was either Fantilli or Carlson. And everybody was saying Fantilli is the home run pick. He in a different year he might have pressured whoever was in the number one slot for the number one draft pick, and Anaheim took Carlson. And Fantilli's got like 8 points. He's a -5. Carlson's 23 points. And more importantly, as a center, he's +11.
That's impressive.
The guy is really, really impressive. And then everybody talked about, the big trade for, Cutter Gauthier away from Philadelphia and what a selfish little move it was, forcing his way out. But you know what? It's working out for him because this kid's got 11 goals already. He's second in the league in goals. So Anaheim's doing something right. And to me, it doesn't look like an illusion. It looks like something that they can sustain. Maybe
Right.
not.
They're
Maybe they don't
building.
win the West, but
Yeah.
they are a playoff team.
Right now they
Owen,
definitely are. Where are they?
Owen
Right now,
Zellweger, I
right
think,
now
is
they're 21 points. They're leading the Pacific
they're
Division,
leading the
and
Pacific.
they're
Maybe they don't
only
win
a
it, but
they're only a
they're
point back of Montreal, like 2 points back of Colorado for the overall lead in the NHL, 23 points. So, um, progressive young team
yep,
that
absolutely,
if they can
absolutely.
sustain this for time, you're right. Maybe people have to start paying attention to the West a little bit more, and a team like Anaheim, who has a lot of young up and coming talent.
Yeah, and then obviously Macklin Celebrini is
Wow,
still flying, still flying.
flying,
You know,
impressive.
his teammates have cooled off a little bit, and they've lost a lot of games. But Macklin Celebrini is playing like a Hall of Famer already,
Well,
and
and you said it just like Caufield and Suzuki. If he isn't the extra forward on Team Canada, and maybe even starting on this team, I you got to give your head a shake. You've got to give him a nod at this point. We're 3 months away from the Olympics, and he is one of the hottest Canadian forwards on skates at the moment.
yeah. Let's
And
just
he's
say from a
playing two way.
forward,
He's playing two-way hockey too.
yeah. Look, Team Canada's Olympic future is looking very, very
Yes.
bright because I don't want to forget about Connor Bedard either. He's now
He's
leading the league
playing.
in scoring.
Yeah, he's playing well too. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they had it. He had a weird game today. Chicago beat Detroit 5-1, and
Yeah.
they were outshot 46-20. So sound familiar, by the
Yes,
way?
sounds very
Except it just
familiar.
went the other direction.
Yeah.
There. That's if the Leafs had won that game, it would have been a weird one like that.
Yeah.
But
No.
the
Crazy.
other guy I want to talk about because I've had a chance to see him play twice against both Montreal and Toronto in the last few nights is last week we talked a little bit about Logan Cooley and how he's really coming alive and might be a factor on the American Olympic team. In both games against Toronto and Montreal, I was less than impressed with him. I think he just had a couple of bad games. Maybe the travel, maybe it was an accumulation of a bunch of games in a row, and he's a young guy. He didn't catch my eye, but the guy who did, and the guy we don't talk nearly enough, is Clayton Keller, because that guy has turned into a reliable point to game guy over the last 3 seasons, and he looks great doing it. He's got his control of the puck in the offensive zone, his patience with the puck, his ability to take pucks away from people and turn the play the other way around. Now, he's a winger, not a center, so a lot of people sort of bias against those guys being as valuable as centers. But I tell you,
If you can
Clayton
score
Keller,
goals and win puck battles, you manage
exactly,
it.
exactly. And I was just every time he touched the puck, I was very, very, very concerned about where the play might go.
Right.
And he does that in a sustainable way. Like when the Canadiens were playing Philly and Trevor Zegras looked like the most dangerous guy on the ice. I was like, yeah, every time he has the puck, something great is going to happen or something catastrophic is going to happen, and he's going to turn it over. Because Trevor Zegras is an exciting player to watch, but he's exciting for all the good reasons and the bad reasons. Clayton Keller doesn't make those mistakes. In fact, he kind of reminds me of Suzuki a little bit. I mean, he doesn't have quite the 200-foot game. I don't think he's ever going to be, in line for a Selke or anything, but he's a responsible player, and he makes the smart play every time. He might not be as brainy as a guy like Suzuki or other Selke candidates, but he's not a guy that gets enough love, and
Look at you, heaping the praise on this guy.
Heaping the praise. He will obviously be one of the forwards on Team USA.
Look at Team SUA could look really different from the Four Nations,
Yeah,
given injuries and the potential chance that one or both of the Kachucks might not be healthy enough to play on that team. Cooley's playing better, Keller's playing better, Caufield's in the mix. There's 3 or 4 guys that could step up and take over positions on that U.S. team. There's no
yeah.
question.
Well, yeah. Honestly, there's plenty of no brainers, and there are plenty of sort of edge case guys, but The way I see him playing, I don't think Keller is an edge case guy.
Yeah.
I think he's that good.
Oh, yeah.
Um, big week in hockey. The reason why the Leafs played tonight, is because it's also Hall of Fame induction week, and some really good names.
Big names this year.
Big
It's
names.
quite the class this year. Forget about all the builders and whatnot. The players category: Zdeno Chara, Duncan Keith, Alexander McGillney, Jumbo Joe Thornton. Is there being a better class in terms of the four guys going in? Obviously, Botterill on the women's side, Brianna Decker, Danielle Savignon on a builder. It's a great class of people going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. And frankly, I'm a little surprised Jumbo Joe got into the Hall of Fame because I thought he
Oh, come
retired
on.
like no. It's because I thought he retired like 8 weeks ago.
It feels like
Does
way,
really?
doesn't it?
I didn't feel like he retired long. He's been out of the game long enough to
Yeah.
get into the Hall of Fame, but apparently he's eligible.
Yeah.
So he looks great, by the
And,
way.
and by the way, three of those guys are all first balloters. Chera, Keith, and Joe Thornton, all first balloters.
Yeah,
And a lot of people have probably thought Duncan Keith. Well, let's not forget Duncan Keith. Great two-way defenseman. Played awesome on both ends of the ice. Could play defensive style, play offensively. Great control of the puck guy. Won
yeah.
three Stanley Cups with Chicago.
But the opposite of Joe Thornton. I thought he retired 15 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
I
you
don't
think,
know what I don't know why it's in my head
but
like
you think
that.
he's
But it
older than
just
he is because of all the gray in that beard. I figured he
yeah.
would cut his beard, but you know what? I think he's waiting until after the Hall of Fame to cut that thing.
If I were him, I'd wait till after Christmas if I was going to cut it. He's got a real Santa look going.
But I have an interesting story, a funny story about Alexander McGillney.
Well, share it then.
Alexander McGillney, when he came to Toronto, he's a big golfer, by the way. Alexander McGillney is a big golfer. He came to Toronto. He was invited to play play golf at a club north of Toronto, Magna Golf and Country Club. It's a private golf club, very expensive to join. He shows up. He goes into the clubhouse, into the pro shop, and says, "Hey, I'm here. My tee time is I'm playing with X." And the pro goes, "Sorry, Mr. McGillney, but you've got the date wrong. You're supposed to be playing on Thursday, not today." And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here. Can I go play?" And they went, "Sorry, you're not a member. You can't play. You have to be a member or you have to play with a member to play." And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "I'm sorry, Mr. McGillney. You can't play. You have to play with a member." He goes, "How much is it to join?" They told him the number. I think it was at the time $80,000. He apparently, as the story goes, and I've heard it from a good source, he walks to his car, gets his checkbook, walks back in and lays down an $80,000 check and says, "Can I play now?"
Nice.
And they let him play. I don't
Nice.
know if he joined, but they let him play.
Nice.
That's pretty funny.
That's a pretty great story. By the way, I like the fact that he keeps his checkbook in his car just in case he shows up someplace he has to buy a membership to a golf
Well,
club.
this is obviously this is how many years ago now? Because let's
True.
forget, McGillney was, if not one of the first, if not the first, one of the first Russians to defect. And really one of the guys that really started that whole chain effect of Russian players coming over. And think what he did about leaving his family, defecting, maybe never seeing his family again.
Yeah.
And then the points that he put up and the goals, and he was a pretty special player. So
Who came over first, him or Bure? I feel like they came over around.
I think it was
'Cause the-
McGillney. McGillney's older than
McGillney?
Bure. Yeah.
Is he? Because I know that the Detroit guys, all the Detroit Russians, were some of the first to come over, and
Yeah.
I know that McGillney wasn't far behind. Yeah, some of the last great memories of the Buffalo Sabres. They're decades of futility.
Just ugly going on in Buffalo right now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Not good.
It's not good. It's
But
not
a great
good.
weekend. I've had the pleasure of going to many Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. It's actually a really fun night. As a lot of those nights can be really stuffy and not so fun. Being a hockey fan and being down in the hall and watching them walk around. I don't know if I've told you this story before. I actually remember the year that when Gretzky got inducted. Actually, they really limited the attendance that time because it was so packed. The whole hall and for people who haven't been to Toronto, the Hall of Fame actually is down below one of the buildings,
Uh-huh.
an old bank, but the hall itself is down below in a little court area, and the whole upper level was just packed. And actually, I was at TSN at the time, and I didn't actually have a ticket, but the guys who were producing the show put me in as a producer, gave me a production sort of credentials so I could get in the building, and actually I could go anywhere I wanted, which was great. But
Nice.
I walked into the hall because I wanted to get into the hall early while Gretzky and the group were walking in. And I happened to walk into the hall and I wanted to go see his area because they had, for each player, when they go in, they have a little special area for them. And I walked in to go see his area, and standing, looking at his stuff and admiring his stuff is Mario Lemieux, standing there, sort of reading all this stuff and whatnot. And I walked up to say hi to Mario, shook his hand, didn't talk to him very long. I was basically just said, "Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you," and walked away. But standing there watching that was a pretty cool moment. And it's sort of a fun night because after the ceremony, the players, both past and present, that are there, walk around the hall, and you're mingling around and you get to talk to them. I've had some great conversations. I remember before Johnny Bauer retired, talking to Johnny Bauer, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. That's
Before
pretty
his wife
cool.
trying to tear him away because, Johnny, it's time to go home. No, I'm having fun talking to the people. So it's a really fun night, but
Oh,
it's a great
cool.
honor, obviously, and a tough ticket to get.
Yeah, tough ticket to get. Well, if it's much tougher than Leafs tickets are going to be.
Yeah, there might not be too many more Leafs going into the hall right now.
No. Could be a while.
It could be a
Could be a
while.
while before we see one. All
I
right.
might get
Well,
committed before the Leafs go into the Hall of Fame.
oh, geez. Um, well, before we go, what are we looking forward to this week? I'm going to lead off because I want to say I'm not looking forward to the Leafs losing more games to make this podcast more entertaining with your rapidly deteriorating mental state. That is not what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is what you're looking
All right,
for.
maybe a little bit, but I am looking for it. Look, I want to see Cole Caufield maintain his lead in the goal scoring race. I think he's on pace for something like, I don't know, 67 goals or something, and I would love to see him keep that up. So that's what I'm focused on this week. And I know you're focused on a 60-minute effort someplace down the line.
Yeah. So, look, I'm not looking past Tuesday night. They play the Bruins again in Boston this time. I'm
Oh,
just looking, as you say, we need to see some consistency out of this team,
so
and some consistent effort and some pushback. And we know it's there. They did it against Utah earlier this week, but the current effort, and I wrote this to you in full caps today, right now, what's going on, it's just not acceptable or good enough. And with
all right.
that,
Wow.
cue the music.
Cue the music.
I'm going back to the couch. Have
So
a
you go
good
back,
week.
but actually, we get played, I don't want to get played off like the Oscars. The Canadians have LA coming into town. My daughter is a massive Kings fan.
There you go.
And so we're gonna have a little inter-house battle, and we just have to be prepared that if the Kings win the game next Sunday, she may try to force her way onto this.
Oh, that's okay. We
podcast.
haven't had any guests.
We haven't had any guests.
And if I'm still lying on the couch, you might need a new co-host
might
because
need a new
I might not be in
co-host.
any state to do this again.
Well, the Leafs aren't playing next Sunday, I don't think.
But
so you won't be fresh off of a miserable loss.
I might not have recovered from the night before, though.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Alrighty. You have a good week. Enjoy the game with your daughter, and we will see you next week on the Aiming 5 Hole podcast. See you later, Ryan.
Cheers.